All right, welcome to the third review of the evening. Up this time is an adventure game called Rainswept. So, Rainswept is a murder mystery adventure. Emphasis on the murder because you are Detective Michael Stone, who has arrived in the small town of Pineview to assist the local police force in order to solve a simple case, as in it looks simple at first, but it's going to get more complicated.
Because this is a murder mystery, so of course it does and will.
Yes. A couple is found dead in their kitchen, and the locals believe it is a case of murder-suicide. Their speculation is fueled by rumors of a turbulent nature in relation to the couple's relationship. And you are not alone on this quest. You are assisted by the driven and empathic Amy Blunt. And you are, well, as a detective, you are hired to find the truth about Chris and Diane. And
well, you're sent.
Right.
You're not. I don't think you're like a private detective. You're
a detective. Like,
yeah.
I don't know. It's like this game is so noir that I'm kind of just this kind of detective being a PI. You know what I mean? But anyway, so we got the Nintendo Switch version of this game. So over to the Galax with the body of the review.
I wish I'd had time to get further in this game, but unfortunately, there have been some complicating circumstances around the house over the past week, so I didn't get as much as I wanted to. But this game is, well, first off, it opens up with a trigger warning, which is appreciated. The game involves suicide and other things like that. And actually also the first sign is of the murder / thing happening. So that's also important to get that out of the way. But the art style, I really appreciated. It's very flat, but with very like the people and stuff and interactive objects are very flat colored, but it's still very artful. And when they want something to look pretty, it looks very pretty in the background usually. From what I've been able to discern, there are not any hugely different endings for this, but there are a couple of changes, so you have to do a couple of different things. You have to play through at least twice to see everything, I guess. I like the writing and the choices that it gives you regarding what to say or not say, although I didn't get far enough to fully understand how all of those reflect the further progression of the game. Also, I understand that as part of the investigation, as the investigation progresses, you get some scenes from the perspective of the victim / perpetrators. Which is interesting. You don't always get those in this kind of game. I know it seems interesting, and I'm interested in the characters, and I'm probably going to see if I can put a little more into it. But unfortunately, all of the puzzles that I got to are like quote unquote puzzles. Interactable bits are very simple. Like you get a thing and then you use it in the obvious place. So the controls are a little bit odd. The minus / select button is a dedicated stop smoking button, but you still smoke in cutscenes even if you have it not smoking. Run is on one of the triggers, and you'll probably want to use that sometimes because you walk very slowly. And the interact thing is a weird thing where you have an interact button, and then you have to press a different button depending on which way you're trying to interact it, if you're trying to look at it or talk to it or pick it up or whatever. And you use the bumper buttons to select between interactable objects if there's more than one. So a little awkward, but not the worst I've had. The weirdest thing, the D-pad has menu stuff. So even though this is a very linear and horizontal and not fancy game, the analog controller is the only way to control movement, which is a little bit different from my normal instincts. I usually default to D-pad stuff for that kind of thing, for that kind of game. There hasn't been a ton of music, mostly environmental stuff. No voice acting unless my ears were completely lying to me. Do you guys have any questions or anything?
I think I'm good.
Like, in terms of puzzle solving, are there any item key lock deals there?
Really basic ones, yeah. You generally only have like one item at a time. Like the introduction to the idea of that is after you have a car crash, the mechanic tells you he needs a wrench, so you have to go get the toolbox, and then the toolbox is locked, so you talk to him and he says, oh, the key's over there, so you have to go pick up the key and use it on the toolbox, and then pick the wrench out of the toolbox, and then use the wrench on him to give it to him.
Like,
it's barely a puzzle, but it's interacting with the environment enough to qualify the game as like an adventure game instead of just a visual novel or walking simulator.
Right.
Does that make sense?
It does.
It does. From what I've seen, the puzzles are minor but do exist.
Like, I'm honestly not sure if what the right approach is, but you know, it's like if you are making your puzzles so simple that they're not even really puzzles, I'm kind of like, what's the point?
Well, you're investigating, so you do have to like.
Right. I'm just saying.
Again, it's Phoenix Wright style investigating, where it's like interact with all the interactable objects and ask the witness all of the questions. But
right,
it makes sense to have that kind of stuff as what you're doing in the procedure of the game.
Fair enough, I suppose.
And again, you do get some. The character you're playing as has some baggage of their own, so you have some interesting scenes where they're not entirely sure what's up sometimes. Like the reason you get your car in a crash is because you thought you saw a person in the road who I think is a dead person from his past, probably his wife.
Right. So, in regards to pricing, it's one of those disparity things because this game was handled by different people on different platforms. The PC is the original version, which was handled by the developer, Frostwood Interactive, but Two Awesome Studio is the publisher of the console version. The console version clocks in at $10. The PC version clocks in at $12. Not a huge disparity, but it's there. Though it's worth noting that the Steam version has bonuses that that as DLC, unfortunately. The original soundtrack and the art book are available for $5, and it's got a collector's edition, which is $15.
Which includes what? Soundtrack or?
Yeah, which includes the game, the soundtrack, and the art book. That is the collector's edition. As far as if it's worth that, well, I did not play the game, so I can't really place it.
There are differences between well, again, the Switch doesn't have an achievement system, so it doesn't have achievements. But on the other hand, from looking through the Steam achievements thing, about 80% of them are get through the day.
Right.
And then there are a couple for like, did you get coffee from the diner every day or whatever, and for the different variations on the ending. So.
Yeah. So, what are your final thoughts of Rainswept?
I mean, I'm intrigued, and I think it's a pretty decent. Like, it seems like a good game generally.
Okay.
I apologize for not having had more time to play it.
Sometimes things in life happen.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so it seems to be a fine enough game. Worth.
Yeah, $10 probably isn't bad. It seems like it's got a decent amount of meat to it. Although not a ton of replayability. Again, there are really only a couple of alternative possibilities for.
Which is most adventure games, if I'm being honest.
Mm-hmm. Well, especially mystery games. They don't generally let you go too far off on.
Right.
Wild goose chases or whatever.
Right. Anything else?
Not that I could think of.
All right, so that'll about do it for Rainswept. Be sure to tune in after the break as Twilight Winter will be reviewing Gladiator School.